Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Scree gear is more than apparel. It's a tribute to the relentless, the tireless, the true guardians of the wilderness. It's for those who seek not just a game, but a legacy. Not just a sport, but a way of life. In our gear, you're more than a hunter. You're a story, a tradition, a legend in the making. Scree is your journey, your triumph, your success. Join the working man revolution. Success awaits.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today we're going to talk about making your own prepping network, prepping community, stuff like that. People you can count on, people you can trust, how to, what you really need, why it's beneficial, and, why it's better to plan now and, think ahead. Kevin, how do you want to start here?
Well, I think we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to go through.
All right.
We want to talk about some other people that have organized communities, right?
Yep.
And, maybe how to start organizing your own, how to keep in touch with people that you want to be in touch with, and how to exclude people you want to keep out.
All right, I like that. There's always the crazy, and you don't really want people crazy in your community.
No, they can.
Sucks in a stressful situation. It's nice to have the guy crazy enough to go kill everybody, but maybe not kill everybody in your group, or maybe not get your group killed.
Yeah, I've known a couple of those people.
If
they don't have a direction to be pointed, they just are a detriment to everything.
Yeah, one of the things I actually heard. I was actually listening to another podcast, and they were interviewing some soldier guy, and it was actually I think that the podcast was Power Players, and it's about people who are successful CEOs and things like that. And ended up having a soldier guy wrote a book, and he was talking, and he said, well, one of the things that the military taught him, he goes, when you have your unit of guys, you're stuck with who you get. Like, you can't say, you know what, that guy's a crappy employee and I gotta fire him and whatever and move on. You can do that in the real world, But in the military, you're stuck with that guy, so you have to find a way to control him. You have to find a way to make him work for you. And that's a big thing. When you have a close-knit group like that, it's nice to be able to work together and basically find... hopefully you have the management skills or somebody in your group does, to kind of bring out the best in people and kind of contain them. And, it's funny, I had a guy worked for me back in the day, and we used to call him Hot Rod. And, because, man, this guy, he would just mess things up, and, he was just horrible. And as far as a technician... And we'd have problem after problem. And he just would always seem to make the wrong choice. And finally, it got so bad that the captain on my ship was like, look, you got to take this guy under your wing and find a way to, do something. He goes, you know what, I don't even want him near any of the equipment on my ship unless you're standing next to him. Now, it kind of sucked because that meant I had to be there all the time and wasted my time. And whatever, but I took this guy, and it was nothing related to technical knowledge that I gave him. It was all kind of work ethic and how to approach things and talking to him. I mean, nothing related to technical stuff at all. It was really just spend every minute with me and you know what, if you're going to be here, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. But he went from somebody who damaged and destroyed so much equipment to being one of my best guys. And he was just excellent, where he just kind of, you know what, I really feel it was his self-esteem and, you know, just building that up and giving him the confidence.
Right.
I don't know how it changes, you know, how they work and whatever. Right. But, man, this guy was a totally different person and really became like a go-to guy. And then it's sad. I heard like a year or two later, I talked to some other guys who were still working in the same shop. And I was like, oh, how's he doing? You know, how's he working out? And they were like, oh, as soon as you left, he's the same, you know, fuck up he was before. And it's like, you know, it just sucks. But my point is, if you're going to work in a community and you're going to work together, one, you want to pick the right people. Mm-hmm. But when you do, you still have to learn how to make everybody's personality kind of match and mesh and work together. And, you know, having hotheads and stuff, it's just not going to, you know, not going to help things out.
Yeah, I know, you know, there's basic idea that there's 3 types of people in the military when it comes to what you want in your group. You know, you've got the first group, which is very organized, hard-working, by-the-book type of person.
Right.
But when it comes to combat, they're not somebody that's you know, ready to jump at somebody with a knife. You know, and then there's the person that generally speaking is disruptive, aggressive, you know, not good in peacetime, but when it comes down to, you know, the nitty-gritty, man, they're
stabbing people in the neck.
People in the neck, that's the one you want. And then there's the third, which is about 2% of the people, which have both qualities. Oh. You know, and there aren't very many of those people.
They're the exception, not the rule. Yeah. Now, the next thing, I kind of, you know, what type of people would you want in your group? Mm-hmm. I don't know. What kind of people would you think? I mean, if you go out there and you're setting up. Now, well, you know what? Maybe even before we get into that, where would you draw your group from? Like, would you... I mean, I think a group could even be as small as maybe you and like your maybe extended family. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was thinking, you know, when we were thinking about how to lay this out, you know, there's like that show with the Browns up in Alaska on Discovery Channel or whatever. And, you know, they have a whole prepper community in their family. You know, they're like 8 or 10 people or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And they have a whole network of, you know, everything and somebody for kind of each task. And that works. Mm-hmm. And maybe if your family's like that, that works for you guys. Or maybe it's as simple as, you know, your immediate family and maybe you have your brother or, you know, your in-laws or whatever, somebody around you that maybe that group of 3 or 4, you know, families are enough.
Right.
Maybe it's you and your best friend, you know, and your 2 families, maybe together you have the skills and resources, but maybe you don't know anybody. Mm-hmm. And maybe you have to put something together, come up with a plan, you know, come up with a way to make it work. Where would you look in your local community? How would you kind of try and reach out to people?
Yeah, I mean, that's something everybody has to ask themselves, basically, you know, based on their morals and their belief system. You kind of want people that mesh with you ethically, you know, to be in your group. Maybe your church. Maybe
church sounds like a logical place to start if that's where you spend your time.
Right. Maybe your neighborhood. You know, I know I've got quite a few neighbors around here that are somewhat self-sufficient guys and you know, interesting characters that have a lot of talents that can be, you know, used and traded. I definitely do some trading with my neighbors work-wise. You know, they give me a hand with some things, and I give them a hand with stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, you know, it's nice when you're drawing from your own neighborhood. You guys are close by. It's kind of cool if you can secure your street or, you know, that kind of thing and kind of pull people together that way. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's, you know, got the neighbors that are nice, and you know, maybe it's not the plan for you.
The enemy, you know, you don't know what you're going to be dealing with.
But now
what do you think? Got any ideas on that?
Well, so I like the church idea. I like that. They have maybe it's the political meetings you go to. Maybe you're one of these guys go to the Tea Party rallies, whatever. Mm-hmm. But you want to kind of get to know people. I think you want to draw from people you deal with in life. You can definitely go on the internet and, I see all these forums and different things. And, there's nothing wrong with going to those groups and seeing what's out there. But, these people can be anybody. And I know we're talking, there was that movie, Ruby Ridge.
Right.
And, there's also, crazies looking for the militia types and whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, militias have their place, and, I think we can talk about that, and maybe good, bad, crazy, I don't know, we'll get into that. But right now I'm talking about more of a kind of community of people to work together and more keep your families organized and, and protected. But just the same, we're not going out and looking to do something, we're just looking to protect our own.
Right.
I think that's where we're coming from, in our everyday lives, and, that's why we prepare, is to be able to take care of each other, take care of, your family and basically the people you care about.
Right.
I think when you go into those big groups, you have these, Ruby Ridge, they had, government guys in there looking to set people up and
infiltrating and
you just end up with some real crazies, Mm-hmm. I was just watching a show, I think it's called Legend or something on Netflix, and maybe it was on Amazon, I don't even know. But and it was about an undercover, FBI guy, and sure enough, he's with the prepper community. And of course, if you're going to put a prepper community on TV, they all got to be crazy nut jobs, and that only makes sense. But, it's always that. So my point is, be careful where you draw from. I think it's better look to the closer. Maybe it's your gun club. Mm-hmm. Maybe you know people there. And maybe you should get out more if you don't, have people like this. Maybe it's, your NRA meetings. Maybe you go to, I know they have actually these prepper conferences kind of thing. Again, you might meet crazy people, but just the same, maybe people you work with.
Right.
Who's into the same type of stuff. Right. Maybe people you meet at the gun store. Mm-hmm. I hang out at the gun store every now and again, They all know me when I walk in. It's funny, I go to the gun store, and who's always there is James Earl Jones goes to the same gun store. And what are the odds that this guy, I think I've been there maybe 30 times in the last year, and I would say 5 of those 30 times he's freaking in there blindfolded. And I'm like, well, teach his own, right?
Right.
And that's pretty cool. I'm always like the shy, weird guy. I'm not going to say anything. I'm like, oh shit, that's James Earl Jones over there, But what are you going to do? So anyway, so now we have somewhere to draw from.
Right.
We, we talked about why a little bit. And now, what type of people would you want? What type of skills do you think you need in a community? Like, why would we even want a community unless,
Right. Unless you're drawing something new and fresh to the group.
Right, because more mouths to feed isn't always helpful.
That's right. You definitely want somebody that, that knows their way around a firearm.
Okay.
Somebody that knows how to track and hunt.
Yeah.
That's a benefit. Yeah, you want
somebody maybe bushcraft.
Yeah, there you go.
Tracker, hunter. All right, I like that guy.
You want somebody that's that's good at building, has a little bit of experience.
Carpenter sounds right.
Like that.
Carpenter / handyman. Maybe that's 2 different people. Mm-hmm. You get that kind of auto mechanic and carpenter are 2 different guys.
Yeah. But maybe having 3 carpenters and isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
It's, you don't have to limit yourself if you found good people.
Right, and and don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean the same person can't wear 3 hats.
Right.
The guy who's your medic might be your blacksmith too, or
right.
Whatever. Same thing. Your hunter might be your medic. Your whatever. So, yeah, don't think I'm trying to limit this to, that's your job.
Right. Yep.
Definitely. And also people having overlapping skills.
That's definitely a benefit, you can
things
learn
happen
from each other and, yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So we have carpenter. We have medic. I just said would be definitely beneficial.
Yeah, somebody that maybe is a
hunter,
nurse or a
trapper,
paramedic,
that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Farmer is a big one.
Yeah.
Somebody who really knows how to grow. Somebody, and that may be somebody's wife. It may be you. It may be whatever. But it's somebody who really has been planting, kind of knows your area, has seeds, has been growing stuff, and knows what works. Because I don't know if you guys have tried to grow gardens. I'd assume you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
A lot of you probably have gardens or know people who do. Where you're dealing with it all the time. But usually the first year when you jump into it is not the most successful, and it doesn't always go the way you want, and you learn tricks.
Right.
And maybe the trick you learn is how to build a better fence to keep the rabbits out.
Right.
Or, all the birds came in and ate all my strawberries.
Right.
These are the things. It takes a couple of years to build up, that knowledge of what do I need to watch out for, what's going to be a problem. I think I was 5 years into having the garden before a woodchuck started freaking plaguing me with everything and paining my ass, and your simple fence might not keep the woodchuck out when he's burrowing freaking 3 feet down or whatever. And
I'll tell you what, I work with a guy that's he's an older guy, about mid-60s.
Yeah.
And old Jamaican guy, and he grows his gardens right there on the property where we work.
He's Jamaican, so I'm a little concerned about what he might be growing.
Well, we won't get into that, but he does definitely grow some vegetables.
Oh, there are vegetables too.
And these woodchucks, man, they're always actors. And I tell you what, this guy should have played Major League Baseball. He'll pick up a rock and he'll hit these things from 50 feet away.
Really?
And
I can't hit him with the gun, and he's freaking wow.
And I've seen him get 3 or 4 of them, and he's brutal. He does not care at all. One year he saw the woodchuck, chased it, went into its hole, and he poured gasoline in it, and stood there with a stick and lit it on fire. And when it tried to come out, he jammed it back in with the stick. He's just I don't think I have the heart for that sort of thing. But,
no,
but he's a professional when it comes to killing woodchucks.
All right. I like it. I like that he's a go-to, Maybe somebody, I've heard this guy has a lot of skills. He's come up in several conversations, so I like it. So again, somebody like that. What else? What else would you have in the group? So we had a farmer, a carpenter, somebody who's the handyman overall, maybe / mechanic.
Right.
Somebody with the firearms, maybe a armory type guy.
Right.
And again,
and it's good to have a designated leader when you come to groups like this.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be the alpha male of every organization, because if you have too many chiefs, then you end up butting heads and not getting anything done at all.
Now, I do like the idea of having kind of a tactical leader,
right,
as well as maybe a leader of the overall group, and that may be the same guy.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the same person, but
you might have a general, but still, honestly, when you do have a guy in charge, he really should be the final say on all kind of things. But that doesn't mean he has to be all-knowing on. He might defer to the carpenter on, hey, we should build this here and do this. And, your gardener might say, hey, let's put the garden here because this makes sense.
A good leader always has a cabinet, draws from everybody's information, and makes decisions. You don't just arbitrarily want to be setting rules and making bad decisions, not listening to anybody around you.
No, I like that a lot. And that's, that's where I wanted to go with that. I wanted to, what type of people. I like that. I think we've covered that pretty well. How we find this community, why. Now, how do you see, how do you get together with this community? Now, are you training? Are you doing anything? Are you meeting regularly, monthly, quarterly, annually? What do you think? What sounds right to you? Obviously, it's different for everybody. Everybody's got busy schedules,
and how you have to think about how involved you want to be, with the whole situation. Are you concerned about the government collapsing next week? Are you concerned about a long-term plan for something that might happen in another 10, 15 years.
Right.
I mean, we obviously being prepared means being prepared for either one. But
Sounds right.
you have to have a basic game plan. How invested are you in the prepper lifestyle?
Right. And that's like, I mean, I know, one, just interacting with each other is nice. Are you doing barbecues and different things like that?
Right.
I think just the closeness, kind of learning about each other, get your kids around each other, get people familiar with each other's families and whatever. I think that makes a tough, tense situation a lot easier to cope with.
Right.
I think that's, a good trait. But, also when it comes to the tactical, I'd like to see some kind of training. I think definitely everybody in your group, I mean, yeah, you might exclude the younger children, whatever, but everybody needs to learn how to shoot firearms.
Right.
And fairly proficient. Right. I mean, now is the time to learn that skill. Everybody, I mean, honestly, 14 and up should know how to shoot a gun and be able to handle themselves.
Right.
Whatever. You can decide what that age is for your, group, your family, whatever. But, bottom line, people need to learn how to take care of themselves no matter what. Working together as a group, kind of getting familiar with, like, the commands or what, the tactical leader might say. Everybody playing paintball, or I've seen some more, impressive airsoft stuff. Whatever. Playing a couple tactical scenarios, not a bad idea.
Right.
And, that would be cool if you could get together once a month and do something. No, it doesn't have to be tactical. It might be somebody do a presentation on, medical training for everybody.
A simple first aid
whatever.
Group, cooking.
When the season comes up, it's spring now and people are like, hey, I'm thinking about the garden, whatever. What if your gardener came and said, hey, this is what everybody might want to think about doing. Right. This is what grows in our area. This is what's awesome. And, whatever. Maybe you guys share seeds or who knows what you do, There's all kinds of ways to work together, Maybe somebody teaches a class on canning and preserving food.
Right.
Different things like that.
Yeah,
and you know what?
Even if you're not meeting up with this group, when it hits the fan, you can at least learn off of each other's
skills and prepare together.
Right.
And that's a nice benefit. And, that's the bottom line. I love the idea of being able to, head out and go to a camp. Say everybody gets together and each family cuts in maybe 10 grand and you buy 20 acres out in the middle of, 3 hours from here or 2 hours or an hour or whatever. That's a nice idea. We'd all like to bug out of the, city and go head somewhere. How cool is it if we have a nice little cabin and compound set up for everybody? But is it practical and realistic that we're all going to be able to get out there and do our thing? I mean, I love that idea. I'd love to put that together. I know when we were doing some research on this, we saw some other people have similar ideas. I've read books, a couple novels that, cover that same idea.
Right.
But is it practical? Do we have time? Do you have people that everybody's going to trust and put 10 grand into? Now, in theory, people do, because there's gun clubs and all this other stuff. People got together with money and put things together. It's not that far-fetched, and honestly, if you guys could all share a nice getaway retreat, couldn't you find 10 people that want to kick in 10 grand? Maybe that's something to look into.
Right.
But and just the same.
Who doesn't like a place to
for your family vacation and weekend, whatever.
Go up there and do a little bit of work.
Teach them fishing, teach them hunting, teach them whatever, trapping, whatever it is. Just might be cool, something like that. That's maybe something you guys want to look into. Maybe it's something you've already done. Maybe you want to tell us about it. But just the same, you need to be able to kind of work together, and if you could all train in the same kind of area that you want to, work in. Maybe somebody has the house with the big farm. Maybe somebody has a big farm you could all meet at. Maybe it's that simple. But maybe it's not. Maybe you're all a community. Well, how would you kind of close it off? How would you secure your neighborhood? And honestly, I think I'd mentioned it in another episode when I talked about my home kind of armory. Do you have enough guns for everybody? Does everybody in the community have their own gun? Do they have their own supplies? Are they storing food? I mean, what if you've got all the prepper food? You're good for a year, but all your buddies are, I'll go to Johnny's and eat all his food.
Yeah, he's got food up there.
Good. I mean, but these are the things you need to talk about. And, maybe if you're all meeting up at your house because you have the barn, or, maybe you have whatever, the resources to whatever. Maybe people are stockpiling food and ammo at your house. Maybe that's the plan. But these are the things you need to decide as a group. You need to get together and you plan. And how cool are you when you plan it beforehand?
Right.
And you know what another benefit is? You can save on redundancy. Everybody doesn't need the same, everybody doesn't have to buy a tractor.
Right.
If everybody doesn't have to buy solar panels or a generator or whatever, if you're all planning on meeting up at one house, you can put your resources together, and that's where, the bug out location kind of sounded good, or, but even the same thing. Like I said, maybe one guy's got 5 acres. Maybe that's a lot in your neighborhood, or your area. Maybe 50 acres, because that's a lot in your neighborhood. Something, But again, if the land's too big for you to control and maintain, doesn't do you any good to have more land.
Right.
You have 500 acres. But you know what? People could be living on the back 400,
right.
And I might have no idea, so that didn't really help me.
Right.
But the idea is, if you pool your resources together, you might be able to go further. Honestly, that's even part of life, though. If you put your collective mind and effort into anything, if you're working as a group, it's a lot easier to get there. They say the exponential power of, people thinking and working towards a goal is, greatly improved. But, I don't know. So we get our group, we get them all together, start training together, tactical, medical, the whole type of thing, the gardening. I think this could be such a benefit. I think everybody really needs to look in their life. I know it's so easy to just kind of stay at home, be the hermit, not go anywhere, or just, I'm just going to drink beer.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe if you're drinking beer with the right people, that's a better step.
That's true.
True.
And,
baby steps.
And, everybody thinks there's that idea of rugged individualism.
Yes.
In America.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But, sometimes it takes a community to draw more talents into your life. Even if it's just as much as
the training. Yeah.
The training and learning from one another. Maybe those people won't be available to you when the time comes, but you'll still have had the chance to
learn some skills. And, and I understand time is valuable to everybody. And we all, are desperate for our family time or whatever. Everybody's, mom and dad are both working all the time. And, I never see my kids and whatever. But, if you're going to choose to be a prepper and be part of, this lifestyle.
Don't spend the time with your kids watching TV.
Spend the time with your kids out there teaching.
Yeah. Spend the time shooting, even shooting BB guns with your kids. And
shooting BB guns at your kids. Whatever it takes.
Either one.
All right, maybe that's not the best idea.
I know sometimes that with my son, he's a younger lad, big enough to be my height, but he's still a young boy.
All right.
I've been practicing with him. I give him a magic marker.
All right.
And I put on a white shirt and have him try and get me like it's a knife.
See.
Just doing some practice like that. It goes a long way. All those little things. If you put a knife in the hand of an average 13-year-old, they won't know what to do with it. But if you spent 20 minutes, once a month, practicing a little bit, he might get a little bit dangerous when the time comes.
It might be a little bit dangerous. I don't know. Your kid's pretty dangerous anyway. I don't know.
He's a rowdy boy.
He is a rowdy boy. He scares me. I don't know. I seem to recall driving down the road and him reaching up and trying to yank my hair out of my head while I'm driving.
Yeah, I put him
He's a bit of a hellion.
I put him in boxing and wrestling.
Yeah.
He used to get picked on.
Not so
by
much.
the bigger kids. It doesn't happen anymore.
No, huh?
No.
Yeah, and actually boxing is great for teaching the young kids to really protect themselves. It's funny, my kid, he's older now, I think he's 21, but when he was 16, maybe, probably about 14, put him in the boxing, and about 2 years into it, we're sparring, and this kid just blasted me right in the face a couple times, and I gotta tell you, it's not something you want any part of. And you're just like, holy crap, you know? And it's just amazing. Boxing, and I'll tell you, you can't get in on them. Mm-hmm. You know, somebody who spends 6 months learning boxing is 10 times ahead of, you know, anybody in your average street brawler. Because honestly, somebody who knows how to protect themselves with their arms, you can't get in on them. Yeah. You know, you just try. And I'm like, there's just no opening. You know, it doesn't. And I mean, at 6 months in, you know, it didn't take a lifetime. Now, at 6 months in, can somebody who's been boxing for 2 years get in and blast them? Of course. Because they know to look for the openings. But
how
a little
often
bit
do you run into somebody that's been boxing for years?
Puts you ahead, and it's amazing. Anyway, I know we're a little off topic on that one, but the point is preparing, hence the Preppingbadass. That's us. So preparing, planning ahead, these are the kinds of things, maybe as a community, just something to look into. Now, there are a couple neat like fantasy ideas that we were looking at. One of them's called the Citadel. The Citadel,
I've heard about that.
Now, it doesn't appear it ever panned out, and I kind of go on their website. They're like, oh, if you want to know anything, send us $208, and we'll talk to you. That's as far as I can tell, and as far as I can tell, it looked like the last time the website was updated was like 2014, so I'm a little concerned where my $208 will go. But just the same, I am a little curious. And it might be worth $208 just to find out where it goes. But the sad part is when I send them the $208 and then I don't find out anything.
Then you just lose $208.
Then I go, oh, that's where it goes. Some guys going to the nudie bar.
Community like that where we take $208 from people.
So, if, like I said, if you guys wanted to join the Preppingbadass community, what you need to do is send us $208, send it to the PayPal,
and you might not get any response.
Send me an application.
You have to send the money to find out.
$208. No, I haven't picked a location, but if I do, you're going to be on the list.
Well, I'll pick a location for $104
and I'll tell you what,
dollars.
If you send me $350, tell you what, I'm going to be even cooler. For $150, I'll get you in line waiting to sign up for my community. All right? But for $300, a place reserved in line
where you can sign up at a future date.
If you send me $300, I'll move you to the front of the line, and to hell with the other people with the $150. But I don't know. But anyway, so this place was talking about moving out to Idaho, I think. They had a community they were proposing. I think there was something in the Drudge Report and they got spooked or didn't want to do it, or I don't know. You said you heard some weird details. Yeah. But anyway, bottom line, they wanted to make an entire walled community where they could run their life based on liberty and freedom and what they want. Now, it's kind of like Galt's Gulch from Atlas Shrugged. And I know, people have been looking for that, to kind of find a community like that to get away from. People have planned a lot of ideas. I heard something called Atlantis, something supposed to be like that. There was another, I saw plans, there was a news story on Fox News, and I've seen it, on YouTube or something, And again, I think it didn't pan out at all because I kept kind of going back and I never really saw a big progression. But I know they were trying to set up a community like that in, I think it was Haiti? No. Honduras? One of those. It might have been Haiti even. I think it was Honduras. And it actually looked like a pretty good idea. They were actually working with the government. And I think it was, like a billionaire trying to put it together. And at least if you have somebody with money and real plans, might be a little more fruitful. But, I don't know. Just maybe getting together, buying houses close to your buddies. And, maybe you buy a piece of land and you cut it up. And, and then you build the community. Maybe you get them to sign a, hey, I'll offer my house to, anybody who wants to join the community first. And then if nobody wants to buy it, then I'm free to sell it. Or, I can sell it back to the community. Or I'm free to sell it on my own if nobody's got the money. Maybe you work out something like that. I don't know. Is that crazy? Hey, you guys tell me. You know what? You get to decide your own destiny. That's what freedom and liberty, the whole thing. That's what it's about.
And before we wrap this up, we got an email from Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill. Now, where did he send that email?
To preppingbadass@gmail.com.
All right. So I'm excited. Tell me.
He's sent us a little email here. He says, hey guys, I've had a chance to listen to a couple podcasts now, and I totally love the show. You guys are awesome with it. My family's downward as bond, whatever that means. Now he enclosed a picture of his toilet paper stuff.
All right, I like toilet paper.
Says, anyway, my question today pertains to toilet paper. Took a look at my current inventory, which is kind of typical of our usual level here, provided normal conditions. But is it enough?
Is it enough?
What if things change around here and times get tough? Seems to me, though, that the most immediate threat would be the Muslims.
They are after your toilet paper.
But I've also heard they don't use toilet paper.
Oh.
That they actually wipe with their bare hands or something. Like, they'd probably look at all my toilet paper and not even know what I got. After they spent a few hours trying to craft it into some sort of desert clothing or IED, they'd probably just get pissed and leave it behind and then go poop behind my shed. They're practically a non-threat when it comes to toilet paper, right? Or should I try and get more while it's still on sale? Well, that's a very important question, Buffalo Bill.
I think there's two answers to that.
Well, I do know that typically, historically, they've wiped with their left hand.
Yes.
And they clean it off in the sand.
Yes.
That's why if you're in a Middle Eastern culture and you hand somebody something with your left hand, it's an insult.
Yes.
But as far as toilet paper goes, man, it's only really bad when you run out.
Now that's the thing. I don't think he has to be afraid of the Muslims stealing his toilet paper, because I do agree that, I can confirm that they have no interest unless, like he said, possibly some kind of clothing situation. However, that said, you never have enough toilet paper.
No.
There's two things I've never heard somebody say. I had too much ammo, or, I had too much toilet paper. Those words have never come out.
No.
Now, there are people who, I wish I had more ammo. I've heard that. And I've heard, I wish I brought more toilet paper.
And, neither of those things ever go bad.
No.
So it's probably not a bad idea to have a good stockpile of toilet paper.
A good stockpile of toilet paper. So with that, maybe leave us a review. Tell us who might be essential in your prepping community. Maybe it's Kevin.
And if you have,
maybe it's me.
Maybe it's Chuck. And if you have toilet paper concerns, send us an email at preppingbadass@gmail.com.
Or maybe you want to ask us something else. Maybe it doesn't have to be a toilet paper.
I'm just hypothetical there.
Maybe you just want to hear.
Maybe there's a lot of
maybe you want to hear your email.
We don't even think about.
Maybe you want to hear your question read on a future podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you have to send us some money for that. I'm not sure. Why don't you send us an email? No, we're good.
Send us an email.
All right, send us an email and we'll find out. So, preppingbadass.com.
Yep.
All right, stay safe. take care of your family, and we'll see you next week.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.